There comes a moment, silent, almost invisible, when life itself intervenes. Those who thought they could deceive you without consequence, those who mistook your kindness for ignorance, they believed they had won. They laughed, they mocked, they walked away as if the story had ended in their favor. But life does not forget. Every betrayal plants a seed, and in time every seed bears fruit. The hands that once twisted truth now tremble under the weight of their own lies. You see, when they played you for a fool, they weren't outsmarting you. They were gambling with their own fate. And now the same forces they unleashed return, not because you seek revenge, but because life demands balance. Today, we are not here to celebrate their downfall. We are here to understand the sacred truth. What you endure with grace, life answers with justice. The price of deception. There is a dangerous illusion that grips the mind of the deceiver. The belief that cleverness is superior to character, that manipulation is strength, and that those who live with open hearts are somehow weak or expendable. When they played you for a fool, they weren't simply betraying your trust. They were making a costly wager against the deeper forces that govern life itself. They thought they could carve shortcuts through loyalty, slice through sincerity with lies, and walk away untouched. But every act of betrayal has a hidden cost. Every lie is a debt written in the soul, and debts of that nature are always collected, not by you, not through vengeance, but through the slow, relentless machinery of consequence. You see, deception does not just harm the betrayed, it poisons the betrayer from within. It slowly dismantles their ability to trust, to connect, to find peace within themselves. They believe they have escaped, that they have conquered you, that your heartbreak is the end of the story. But in reality, they have planted the seeds of their own suffering. They have set forces in motion that will eventually call them to account. Life has a way of balancing its scales, not immediately, not always in the ways we imagine, but inevitably. The world is structured in such a way that falsehoods corrode from the inside out. Relationships built on manipulation rot. Opportunities seized through betrayal crumble. Reputations built on exploitation eventually collapse under the unbearable weight of truth. While they laugh and celebrate their so-called victory, the silent wheels of justice begin to turn. And the worst part for them is this: by the time karma reaches them, they will have no idea how to defend themselves, because the damage is self-inflicted. They will lose friendships without understanding why. They will find doors closing, not from your anger, but from their own unseen reputation. They will feel a gnawing loneliness, a hollowness that success cannot fill and pleasure cannot numb. And while you rise from your pain, wiser, stronger, more grounded, they will wrestle with shadows of their own making. The price of deception is not immediate. That is why so many fall into its trap. It offers quick rewards, the thrill of control, the illusion of superiority, but what it demands in return is far greater. The gradual erosion of integrity, the slow destruction of genuine connection, and the inevitable confrontation with an existence built on lies. So if you have been played, if you have been hurt by those who mistook your decency for naivety, understand this: your hurt is real, but your story is not over. Your suffering is not pointless. Every tear you shed waters the roots of your future strength. Every heartbreak you endure polishes the core of who you are becoming. Meanwhile, those who thought they had broken you are unknowingly breaking themselves. In the end, the greatest justice is not watching them fall. It is realizing you no longer need their apology, their acknowledgement, or even their downfall to thrive. Your power is not in punishing them. Your power is in transcending them, in becoming a living testament to the truth that character outlasts cunning, that sincerity outweighs scheming, and that goodness, though often bruised and bloodied in the short term, ultimately stands invincible against the tides of deceit. When they played you for a fool, they gambled against forces they could not see, forces they did not understand. And those forces, patience, integrity, truth, are far stronger than any temporary gain they could steal. Let them answer to the life they have created. Let them sit with the choices they have made. Your task is simpler, but no less noble. Heal, grow, rise. And remember always that while deception may seem to win a battle, it always loses the war. Life has an accounting, and sooner or later, everyone must pay. The innocence they mocked was their own test. In a world that often mistakes cruelty for strength, your innocence stood as a rare and precious gift. Your kindness, your trust, your willingness to believe in the goodness of others, these were not weaknesses. They were acts of courage. They were offerings, opportunities for those around you to rise to the level of your sincerity. But instead of honoring the gift, they chose to exploit it. They laughed behind closed doors. They mistook your open heart for an open door to manipulation. And in doing so, they did not expose your flaws. They revealed their own. What they failed to understand is that every soul is tested, not by how it handles power, but by how it responds to vulnerability. When someone shows you trust, they place in your hands a mirror. That mirror does not reflect them. It reflects you. When you held out your hand in loyalty and compassion and belief, they had a choice to meet you with honesty or to betray you for their own gain. Their betrayal was not your failure. It is the story of their character, written in real time. Your trust gave them a chance to choose the higher path. They chose the lower one. That is not a mark against you. It is the burden they now have to carry. The sacredness in innocence that many people fear. They fear it because it demands something from them. Authenticity, humility, decency. To face pure intentions is to confront your own soul. And for those who are unwilling to do that inner work, it is easier to mock, to exploit, to diminish. They scoffed at your kindness because deep down they recognized how far they had fallen from it. They dismissed your loyalty because they knew they could not match it. Your presence illuminated the cracks in their character, and rather than repair themselves, they tried to shatter the mirror. But no amount of mockery can erase the truth. No amount of betrayal can redefine your worth. If anything, their treatment of you reveals a cosmic irony. The one they thought was naive turns out to be the one holding the moral high ground. The so-called fool walks away free, while the so-called victor becomes a prisoner of guilt, of regret, of emptiness they cannot name, but cannot escape. Life has a way of making sure that truth is felt, even when it is not immediately spoken. You must understand something vital. Your innocence was never for them. It was not about being recognized or rewarded. It was about remaining true to who you are, regardless of how the world treats you. And though it may have hurt to see your kindness thrown back in your face, it was never wasted. Every genuine act plants seeds in unseen soil, seeds of strength, seeds of wisdom, seeds of inner peace that no one who played you can ever steal. In time, the very qualities they mocked will become the armor that protects you, the wings that lift you, the wisdom that guides you. And in time, the choices they made in your presence will become the chains that bind them. not because you wished it, not because you demanded it, but because life itself demands it. No soul escapes the consequences of how it treats another, especially one who came to them with purity of heart. When you look back on this betrayal, do not see it as the moment you were defeated. See it as the moment you were revealed. You discovered not only the nature of those around you, but the strength within yourself. The strength to stay soft in a hard world. The strength to trust again, not because you are blind, but because you are brave. To keep your heart open is the ultimate rebellion against a world that worships cynicism. They thought they played you. In reality, they failed a test they didn't even realize they were taking. A test of character. A test of soul. A test of what kind of human being they chose to become when given the chance to rise. And now, while you heal, while you rebuild, while you grow into an even greater version of yourself, they are left with the knowledge, even if they try to bury it, that they fell short, that they missed the opportunity to become better, not because you asked them to, but because life invited them to through your presence. Forgive them if you can, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. You deserve to walk forward without carrying their failure on your shoulders. Let their choices remain with them. Let your spirit remain light. Your innocence was never foolish. It was a gift they were not ready for. A gift they will spend their lives understanding only after it's far out of reach. You were never the fool. You were the last. And now, life teaches them in ways you don't have to. Karma is not revenge. It is a mirror. There is a common mistake we make when we are hurt. We imagine that justice must come with thunder and fire. We think revenge is the only language the universe speaks. But life is not petty. Life does not operate through the shallow satisfaction of retaliation. Life and karma moves deeper. It reflects, it echoes, it magnifies the truth until it can no longer be hidden. Karma does not come for blood. Karma comes to reveal. And when it arrives, it doesn't scream. It whispers in the hollow spaces created by deception. When they wronged you, when they played you for a fool, they thought they had won. They believed that silence meant success, that your pain was proof of their superiority. But what they did not see, what they could not comprehend, was that every action is a brushstroke on the canvas of their own destiny. Every lie they told shaped the world they would one day have to live in. Every manipulation planted seeds of chaos they would one day have to harvest. Life mirrors what we project, and no matter how carefully they hide from it, the reflection always finds them. You see, karma is not a cosmic punishment. It's a process. It's a law as real and relentless as gravity. What you send out, you will meet again. When you sow deceit, you reap distrust. When you plant betrayal, you harvest loneliness. Their actions against you are not forgotten. They are transformed into lessons they must face later, when the cost feels heavier, when the consequences no longer offer an easy escape. And the tragedy is this: the very thing they mocked you for, the very heart they wounded, becomes the very thing they spend their future longing for, but cannot touch. This is why you must resist the urge to wish them harm. Life already knows how to balance its accounts. Your role is not to chase them into their consequences. Your role is to step out of the way and allow the mirror to work. Your role is to heal, to grow, to become so grounded in your own worth that their betrayal becomes irrelevant to your future. They played a game against truth, and truth always wins, not through violence, but through inevitability. Understand this deeply. Karma's greatest power is not to destroy them, it is to reveal them to themselves. There will come a day when the mask they wore so proudly no longer fits, when the lies they told to survive no longer protect them but suffocate them, when the walls they built to block out guilt also block out love, trust, and connection. That is karma. That is the mirror. It doesn't shout, and it simply waits patiently, mercilessly, until the reflection can no longer be denied. While they struggle against the reality they created, you are given a different calling. You are called to grow beyond them, to realize that your healing is not dependent on their suffering, to realize that your strength is not measured by their downfall. True strength is walking away without bitterness. True victory is rebuilding yourself so profoundly that their actions lose all power over your heart. It is in your freedom, not your fury, that you truly transcend what they did to you. Karma plays with their fate not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. The universe demands balance. Integrity demands accountability. No one escapes the weight of their own actions. They will feel what they made others feel. They will experience what they forced others to endure. Not because someone wishes it upon them, but because that is the natural echo of existence. The world has a way of bringing every soul face to face with itself. So do not wait for the day they stumble. Do not live for the moment they break. Their reckoning is guaranteed, but your liberation does not have to wait for it. You can choose even now to rise, to be free, to know that you were never foolish for loving, trusting, hoping. They were foolish for thinking that life would not notice what they did with the treasures they were given. When you understand karma not as revenge but as reflection, you become unshakable. Their games, their betrayals, their schemes, they become small against the vastness of who you are becoming. You are not here to sink into their level. You are here to ascend beyond it. Every step you take forward, every moment you refuse to become bitter, every act of grace you show yourself is a reminder. Life is on your side. Truth is on your side. And karma is simply the quiet architect making sure that no act of harm remains unanswered and no act of good remains unrewarded. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being prepared for a life they will one day wish they had honored. Let karma do its work. Your destiny is too sacred to waste on revenge. Your growth becomes their lesson. The deepest form of justice is not seen in their downfall. It's seen in your rise. When you are betrayed, abandoned, or played for a fool, the immediate instinct is to want them to feel what they made you feel. But true power lies elsewhere. True power is in choosing your evolution over your anger. It is in refusing to be defined by their betrayal and instead using it as the soil in which your future is rooted. Your growth becomes their lesson, not because you seek to teach them, but because life does not allow truth to remain hidden forever. You see, when they wounded you, they assumed you would break. They assumed you would shrink, collapse, disappear. They fed on the fantasy that they could reduce you, that you would never recover. But what they didn't realize is that pain has two paths, destruction or rebirth. And when you choose rebirth, you become something they never anticipated, someone they cannot control, cannot diminish, and cannot replace. Every step you take forward without them, every dream you dare to rebuild, every ounce of peace you reclaim becomes a mirror they cannot escape. The lesson is not taught by your bitterness, it's taught by your existence. Every time they see you thriving, every time they hear about the life you're creating, the contrast between who you are and who they chose to be grows louder. Without you having to say a word, your life becomes a living testimony of the opportunities they threw away, of the trust they shattered, of the loyalty they abused. Their regret is not fueled by your revenge. It is fueled by the realization that they cannot follow you where you are going. Growth is the most silent, most undeniable response to betrayal. It is the loudest answer to those who tried to break you. It says, I did not need your approval. I did not need your apology. I did not need your permission to become who I was meant to be. And the more you rise, the more they are forced to sit with the truth that they underestimated not just your strength, but your destiny. Make no mistake, they will notice, even if they pretend not to look. Even if they cloak their envy in indifference. People always notice when the ones they tried to bury become gardens they cannot enter. They will hear your name in rooms where they thought they had erased you. They will watch you move in circles they can no longer reach. They will feel the distance grow, not because you pushed them away, but because they chose a path they can no longer walk beside yours. And here is the beauty of it all. You don't have to chase validation. You don't have to prove your worth. Your life will speak for you. Your peace, your success, your unshakable spirit will be the evidence they cannot deny. Even if pride keeps them from admitting it out loud, somewhere deep inside they will know. They will know they mishandled something rare. They will know they lost something sacred. And they will carry that knowledge longer than you ever carried their betrayal. Focus instead on your becoming. Pour your energy into building the life you deserve. Heal so thoroughly that their memory becomes nothing more than a stepping stone. Dream so boldly that the betrayal becomes a footnote in a much greater story. Love yourself so deeply that you no longer recognize the version of you that once begged for their loyalty. In doing so, you turn what was meant to destroy you into the very fire that forges you. This journey is not just about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about reclaiming the truth that you were always enough, always worthy, always destined for more than their betrayal allowed them to see. And as you step fully into your power, the lesson they refuse to learn with you will echo in their own lives again and again until they either awaken or fall deeper into the patterns that lost them the chance to know you. The choice you have now is sacred: to remain stuck in the memory of what they did or to rise into the reality of who you are becoming. Choose yourself. Choose your future. Choose the life that still awaits you beyond the ruins of their betrayal. Because when you grow, when you thrive, when you refuse to let pain define you, you do more than survive, you transform. And that transformation becomes a mirror that no amount of pride, denial, or distraction can ever fully cover. Your growth is the greatest lesson they will ever receive and the most healing answer you can ever give yourself. Your healing is their reminder. Healing is often misunderstood. Many think it is a quiet, private thing, a mending of wounds hidden away from the world. But true healing, real healing, radiates. It speaks without needing to raise its voice. It becomes a presence that shifts the atmosphere when you enter a room. And for those who once harmed you, for those who once fed on your brokenness, your healing becomes something they cannot unsee. It becomes their reminder, not just of who you were, but of who they failed to honor. When they betrayed you, they believed they had written the final chapter of your story. They thought the hurt they caused would define you forever. But healing is not about erasing the past. It is about building something so strong, so sacred, that the past loses its power. Every scar becomes a badge of survival. Every tear becomes a testimony. And when they see you, whole, unbitter, unchained, they are confronted with a truth they tried to bury. You survived what was supposed to destroy you. Your healing tells a story that words cannot capture. It tells them without accusation that they were wrong. Wrong about your strength, wrong about your worth, wrong about the idea that you needed their validation to thrive. It reminds them that no matter how deep the betrayal, no matter how cruel the abandonment, you were never defined by their treatment. You were defined by your own resilience, your own courage, your own refusal to give up on yourself. And make no mistake, they will be reminded. Maybe not at first. Maybe not when they are still caught up in their own distractions. But life has a way of bringing the truth back around, often at the very moment when pride begins to crumble. One day they will look at you or hear of you and realize that you healed into someone they no longer have access to, someone they cannot wound again, someone who grew so far beyond them that they now exist only as a distant memory. Timely healing is not just recovery, it is elevation, it is transformation, it is the rebuilding of a life where your spirit stands taller than any betrayal. And that growth, that silent, undeniable ascent, leaves them with an emptiness that apologies could never fill. They may try to mask it, they may pretend they feel nothing, but deep down in the places they don't talk about, your healing whispers to them, this is what you lost. This is what you took for granted. This is why healing is so powerful. It is not loud. It does not seek revenge. It simply moves forward. It creates a life so full, so rich with meaning and purpose that the past becomes irrelevant. And the more you heal, the more their choices echo back to them. Not because you forced it, but because life, in its relentless honesty, always circles back to the truth. You must understand, the act of healing is not just for you. It is a statement. It is a declaration to the universe that you will not be imprisoned by what others tried to inflict upon you. It is a refusal to let the darkness they introduced take root in your heart. And every time you choose healing over hatred, growth over grudge, you widen the distance between you and the ones who once thought they held power over your life. Let them sit with their memories. Let them sit with the realization that while you were busy putting yourself back together, they remained trapped in the smallness of their choices. You moved on. You rebuilt. You rose. And they are left to face the reflection of who they chose to become. There is nothing more humbling than witnessing someone you hurt become someone you no longer deserve to know. Your healing becomes that reminder, sharp, clear, inescapable. It teaches without speaking, it convicts without condemning, it liberates you from needing anything from them. No apology, no closure, no validation. Because your very existence, renewed and radiant, becomes all the closure you ever needed. So heal, not just for your own peace, but because your healing writes a story greater than anything they ever imagined for you. Heal, not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were never defined by their inability to see your worth. Heal so fully, so beautifully, that the life you live becomes an unspoken rebuke to every hand that tried to break you. Your healing is their reminder. Your life is the evidence. And your future is the victory.